This is the On the Mark podcast, bringing you facts, opinions, and personal experiences from the outdoor industry.
I got the opportunity to shoot an AR-15. That was one of the funnest experiences that I've had.
It's pretty exciting. It's a big rush.
Presented by Sightmark, an industry leader in optics, bore sights, night vision, and more. Make your mark. That's Meier.
That's correct. Like Oscar Meier.
Like Oscar Meier. Okay, That'll be easy to remember. Welcome to the On the Mark podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Hamilton. Today, joining me in the Sightmark studio, I got Craig Meier. Craig, how's it going?
Hey, Jeff. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Before we get rolling with this podcast, I have a few announcements to make. The first one, pretty big announcement. Whoa, I got the camera guy, Chris, back. Sorry, Chris. My bad, dude. I actually thought you were going to be blocked by the camera. I saw your whole face light up. This is an enforced weapon light, guys. Sightmark, who owns Sightmark, has purchased officially Enforce. So we're excited to bring another brand in-house. And here in the next coming months, you're going to start seeing a lot more marketing push from Sightmark on the Enforce side of things. It is bright. That one's 700 lumens. So Enforce weapon lights, if you're not familiar with them, they have roughly 8 to 10 different SKUs or items. A few for handguns, a few for rifles, some helmet-mounted options, and some handheld-mounted options. All of them are 500 to 1,000 lumens. So we're talking about pretty high-quality, powerful lights.
This thing is tiny, too. This could fit in my fanny pack or my purse.
Yep, absolutely, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a good one. So that was the big announcements. The next one is I'm just going to give Sightmark a shout-out. They are the host of the podcast. So we appreciate Sightmark and everything they do. Craig here, man, I was trying to make a list of all the things that you do, and the paper just didn't seem like it was long enough. Take me back to the beginning. I mean, what?
We're talking about my legal activities.
The legal activities.
Okay, all right,
yeah. If you listen to a podcast a couple of episodes ago, we actually talked about a lot of illegal activities, and I didn't know it was illegal activities until like halfway through the podcast.
It's good to know.
Yeah. So as long as you don't tell me that you broke the law, you can talk about anything you want to.
Awesome. Well, let's just talk.
How did you get started with everything you do? Just take me back to what makes Craig Craig.
Well, on the hunting side, I started a landowner. So bought a piece of property when I was really young. We bought our first ranch in 2002. I was about 25 years old, and I couldn't afford it. But I knew I wouldn't see a deal that good. So we did. We stepped out and kind of put them on the chopping block there and gave it a go. I was planning on production on my land to help me pay for it.
Right.
At that time, my income we were going to be struggling.
Right.
So I was counting on raising some cattle and raising some crops and raising some hay. So long story short, it's when I really was introduced to how bad the pig problem was. I actually grew up here in Ellis County, moved away to Erath County in Stephenville for several years. There wasn't, I won't say there wasn't any. I was a junior in high school when a guy shot a pig, and he brought it to school in the back of his truck, and it was the biggest deal we were so excited. Yeah. We all went out and looked for pigs, and none of us could find one for the rest of the year. But so they were coming in, but it wasn't a problem.
Right.
So I was gone for about 7 years. Went to college. I stayed in Stephenville, got in the auction business, and ended up moving back to Ellis County. And when I did, we bought that place eventually. And long story short, I started to really realize how bad the pig population was, and I spent a lot of money. We sprigged about 400 acres of land, and I love to hunt. I still love to hunt pigs to this day. I never will get tired of it, but I'm an auctioneer as well, so I would have an auction the next morning. I would see that they're tearing up one of my fields. They tore up one of my pastures so bad that I literally had to back drag it with a bulldozer so I could get in there with a plow and fix it.
I'm familiar, man.
Right,
Yeah.
so you've seen it. You've seen parts of my place too. We still have a problem, and I've been fighting them for a long time. But anyway, I would see that I was getting damage, and I know they're going to hit me that next night, so I set my alarm for midnight. I go down. Now, back in those days, it was Q-beam spotlight, a bolt rifle. I'm in my underwear shooting out of the window of my truck.
Yep.
And I was just trying to protect my land.
Yep.
and it would have been fine if they would have been out at midnight. But
Which, by the way, for everybody who's going to say he just broke the law, in the state of Texas, on your own property, you can damn sure do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was nowhere near a road. Very far from one, as a matter of fact. But so to tell you why I appreciate the y'all's optics. So I would go out at midnight. The point is, they weren't there. Set my alarm for 2. I go back out 2 o'clock. Nothing's there. Set my alarm for 4. I go out. There's 38 pigs.
Yep.
Having their way with my land, and you're a badass if you can kill
2.
yeah, 2 or 3. I was gonna say 3 or 4, but I'll be honest, that was a rarity.
Yeah.
So trying to shoot a bolt rifle out of with a Q beam. I'm holding the Q beam.
Right.
I'm with my neck
Yeah.
and trying to shoot. So that takes the fun out of it.
Right.
I like to go when I want to go or when I can go. I don't like to stay up all night if I have to work the next morning. So
Sure.
I really realized what a problem. So the state started a program. We kept the battle, and we were losing it. I mean, I would shoot 2 or 3 out of that group, and they would just run over on my neighbors, and they would chew on him till he shot at them, and then they would come back, and then there would be 60.
Yeah.
And it just, a lot of people really didn't know how bad the problem was. So the state started flying. We did that for 2 or 3 years, and it was subsidized. We actually paid money toward it. And they would fly our areas. Me and a bunch of my neighbors had gotten together and put a group of land together, a block of land, about 40,000 acres. And they would come in and fly, but they would only fly 1 or 2 days,
Yeah.
and then they would move on. There just wasn't the resources with the state and helicopters in the program. You can't cover it. Texas is a big place, right?
Right.
So, but it did give me the idea. So in 2008, I had the idea, implemented the idea right away, and started training to fly. My original idea, I was going to learn to fly, get my license, go buy a cheap helicopter, and let my buddies shoot. And all I cared about in those days was I just wanted to kill pigs. Once I started learning to fly, I realized I probably do not need to be doing that because I want to live longer than a week. So the over and under was 3 days, I think, with my original plan. So anyway, I did. I ended up hiring one of my pilots, one of my training people that first year, and my instructors, and we flew. We got everybody to throw in money. Instead of hiring the state, I let them hire me. And I could do it cheaper, good old capitalism. And I was just going to fly every bit of the money up and spend it on bullets, fuel, paying my pilot, and renting a helicopter that first year. And we killed 1,900 pigs
Holy
off the
smokes.
same block of land.
Yeah.
And it was the very first time we ever saw the population, some sort of control at work.
Right.
We were trying dogs and traps and hunt. You just can't hunt them on the ground, enough. So with all that being said, that was the seed that started. We started the company Heli Hunter. The first couple of years we flew, it wasn't legal for us to take customers up.
Mm-hmm.
I did the shooter. You had to be an employee of the or owner of the company. To be a gunner, you had to be registered with the state through our aerial permit. But in 2011, they passed a law called the Pork Chopper Bill. And that's what really opened up helicopter hog hunting, make us an
Really?
aerial outfitter, and made it legal for us to take people.
Yeah.
So what it did, and to sum it up, was it took the financial responsibility off of the landowner and put it on the shoulders of the willing, which are people that want to fly around and shoot pigs out of a helicopter.
Sure,
It
yeah.
changed our business model. We didn't have to charge the landowner. If you ever try to squeeze $1 out of a cotton farmer,
Nope.
It's a lot of fun. And they get all of their land hunted for free. They get it hunted more regularly, and we can actually control the population. Now we're sitting on access to over 1 million acres. We're, 12 years later. We can manage the populations. We hit the areas that are heavier. We hit those more if we need to. The areas that are lighter, we do a maintenance program.
Yeah.
But it's a win-win-win. The landowners are happy. The people that come and hunt with us get to shoot a lot of pigs out of the helicopter, and we have a thriving business. So that's really the seed that started Heli Hunter and kind of got me on the map there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you probably one of the biggest questions that you get when you talk to these landowners that haven't done this before, but they need help with this pig management. What's it do to the other wildlife in the area? Does it spook them off at all? Like we're talking like the whitetails and stuff like that?
Not at all. If we took the helicopter and literally chased the deer, and I think that's everybody's biggest concern.
Yeah.
One thing is, I'm a deer hunter. I'm an avid deer hunter. I love to deer hunt more than anything in the world. But I would be mad if I've been tracking a big buck that I've been after. Maybe I didn't get last year, and I'm on to him, and I'm just trying to get
Right.
the timing right where I
Yeah.
can catch him out in the open, and somebody flies a helicopter over. Is it going to run the deer? It could mess your hunt up.
Yeah.
For those reasons, we don't hunt during deer season.
Okay.
But we wait till after deer season. But as far as like running them out of the area, absolutely not. If we bore down and actually chase them with the helicopter, yes, we can keep them running. But when we fly over them and we're looking for pigs, we're not. We fly a little bit higher when we're looking.
Right.
And the same goes for cattle and any other wildlife. We fly over, we see deer all the time. They run. It's about the same as if you drove your truck through there.
Yeah.
They may run 100 to 200 yards, or, and they'll kind of trot. We, before we even fly over them, they've already stopped.
Yeah.
As long as you don't bear down and chase them, it really doesn't affect them at all.
Well, so I don't know from an aerial standpoint, but on the ground, I drive around our place. We have about 300 acres down near Glen Rose. I drive around our place, and the deer, especially at nighttime, I might spook some up and run them over to my neighbor's place, but no doubt, like, the next night, I'm seeing that same deer in the exact same spot, because ultimately they're creatures of habit. They're pattern. You can pattern them. They do pretty much the same thing every day for the most part until that rut hits, and that's going to be during deer season.
Then they act like us on a Saturday night.
Yeah. So I can definitely understand what you're saying with that aspect. Now, when you take the helicopter up, how much on average is that costing you in like fuel and stuff?
Having a helicopter, there's a lot of costs that people don't think about. They want to know about fuel. It's about $150 an hour in fuel. It's one of our smaller expenses.
Oh, really?
Hiring a pilot, I've had the same 3 pilots for, one of them I've had for 12 years, one I've had for 11, and one I've had for 8. We don't have a lot of turnover as far as our pilots are concerned. These guys are good.
Yeah.
I try to get the best of the best. We're flying at low altitudes, at dangerous speeds. In the event you have to do an auto, something does go wrong, knock on wood, but they have the instincts to give everybody the best chance. So, sorry, lost train of thought there.
We're just talking about expenses in general.
Yeah. So hiring good pilots
Yeah.
Is what I was getting at. Insurance. That's the fun part.
Insurance,
Insurance
that's
is the fun
pretty-
part.
that's pretty good.
Helicopters aren't cheap.
Yeah.
So, you have to figure a lot of things. Maintenance. With the Robinson R44, every 12 years or 2,200 hours, you have to do a major overhaul. It's about $270,000. There's nothing cheap about it. So when we look at expenses, we break down that 2,200 hours, put money toward overhaul. We spend so many dollars. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this is we're not pulling this thing out of a barn and kick-starting it and hopping in it. They get every 25 hours we change the oil on that bird.
Wow.
Every year I change out parts that aren't even up as far as the FAA is concerned and the Robinson mandates as far as maintenance goes. We actually, I put a new starter, I put a new solenoid, I put new wires, I put new mags, I put new plugs, I put new battery. A lot of the things I spend about $15,000 a year in preventative.
Sure.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We spend a lot of money. So, as far as nut cost, you're sitting, $700-800 an hour just to run it.
Wow.
If you do it right. Not saying that I couldn't just hop in it without.
Right.
But we just figure all of those at a per hour cost over the course of the year.
Right.
Or over the course of the life of the aircraft.
Right.
So it's not a cheap thing to do.
The majority of the people who watch this podcast, a lot of them are based here in Texas, pretty close. It seems the closer we get to the office here, the larger that listening population is. And what I would suspect is there's probably going to be a few private landowners who probably hadn't even considered heli hunting to manage the pig population. For those guys, they've probably got a lot of questions like, what's the time frame? When can I expect to get you out here?
Right.
How much is it going to cost me? Which you already said you're not charging landowners at this point.
No, free to them.
How much land do you have to even consider coming out and flying my place? Because my guess is you're not going to do it on 300 acres.
Well, I get that question a lot, and a lot of times I ask the landowner if he only has 300 acres, and we have so much land around.
Yeah.
A lot of times I could take that 300 acres, and we're only a mile from, another 1,000-acre place, or a lot of times when that happens, when we get somebody that wants us to fly, so I would go to that 300-acre guy and say, "Do you have a neighbor?
Right.
Do you have a neighbor?
Try and tack on,
and it helps too because they can go to them a lot easier than I can. If I start cold calling people, they think I'm trying to sell them a bill of goods. So I get that landowner and I say, look, if you want me to fly you, get you a group of neighbors together, and let's get a little piece. Now, once I start flying it, like we added 80,000 acres this year, post season. We're mapping it now from this year, and in a lot of different zones that we have, from us going and flying an area. So let's say that 300-acre guy gets a few of his landowners together, and they get 2,000 acres put together.
Yeah.
We'll go fly it. And then guess what? Everybody around there sees the helicopter. It's the talk of the town for a little while.
Yeah.
And I always give them 10, 15, 20 cards, whatever.
Yeah.
And
So
say,
it'll expand
because
over time.
they are going to call you.
Yeah.
And that's really been our growth over has been word of mouth. As far as showing up goes, we schedule it. I don't just Sunday morning you hear going on in your backyard. No. We schedule it, let people know we're coming, and.
What's the wait like? Like if a farmer called you today and he's like, I got 1,200 acres, I need you to fly it as soon as possible. What's he looking at?
Well, there's no law in Texas that says there's a season, but there is a season with our operation, and we fly after deer season in January. So about the third week of January, we fire up, and then we hunt until the foliage comes in. That's our window.
Okay.
Because right now, if they called me, I'll tell them it's going to be January, February next year, and of course I haven't scheduled that yet, but. They're going to be in that window, like these people that are calling me now. It's like, let's go ahead and get you mapped. Let's get you on it. But it'll be winter. It's so much more effective, so much more efficient to fly when there's no foliage on the trees.
Yeah.
We were trying to film with the Target Rich Environment, our TV show, and we were trying to get a few kills just for the show. We flew 5 hours the other day and, shot like 12 pigs, which normally we shoot that in 30 minutes. So, I mean.
What's interesting is there's kind of a move towards the helicopter hunting just because of it truly is probably one of the only ways to truly manage that pig population. I just took a feral hog abatement program in Bosque County because I live in Bosque County and they actually have a bounty on hogs right now. It's $10 a tail. $10 a tail. So as a landowner,
wish I piled up all my tails all these years.
Hey, think about me as a landowner, and I got a guy who can come out with a helicopter and maybe drop 40, 60 pigs when he's flying. I mean, you just leave them out there, don't you?
Well, yes, most of the time we do.
Yeah. So if I'm a landowner living in Bosque County, I'm grinning ear to ear because you come out and shoot my place for free, and I get to collect all those pigtails and turn them in. But as far as the population goes, which anybody in Bosque County, hit up old Craig here because you got a payday coming. The pig population, what I learned is I knew that they bred a lot and they had a very, very fast cycle to give birth. They could give birth multiple times a year. I understood all that. What I didn't know was that they actually become breedable at 6 months. So that figured in speeds up that process significantly. It's something like one pig could be responsible for up to 12 pigs a year or something like that. 12.
I would say that number's way higher than that.
Really?
If a sow has a litter, they say if they have 6, 8 of them will live.
Yeah.
6 to 8 pigs is pretty good average. But if that sow has a litter in January, she's going to breed back immediately.
Yeah.
She's already having her second litter, and her first litter have reached sexual maturity about the same time.
Gotcha.
So 5-6 months later, she's having another litter, and then her babies have reached sexual maturity, and they are breeding.
Yep, absolutely.
So by the time
crazy.
you go 12 months,
so you're saying like back over in Erath County by Stephenville, y'all saw one pig and then a few here and there, but it wasn't really a problem. That was, the pig issue. It's became an issue in the last 10 to 15 years. Prior to that, there were a few, but not that much. But if you actually look at like how overran this entire area of Texas from South DFW down, it's insane to look at that population growth over just, a decade. It's absolutely insane. Now, what I was going to tell you when it comes to, I'm sure you've got all the business you can handle, but if you ever need more, what you could do is reach out to Texas A&M, because that hog abatement program that I took in Bosque County was a program that was supplied to us by Texas A&M. and it has in there different ways to manage pig populations.
Right.
They go over the normal ways, hunting them with a firearm, trapping them, poison, and then they talk about helicopter hunting. And in their slides, this is directly from Texas A&M, they have helicopter hunting as being a large expense to the landowner. So I don't know how many people are looking at that information. But
It's old information.
It's old information. Could probably be updated.
Poor Aggies. I'm an Aggie. It takes 2 hours to watch 60 Minutes.
Hey, is the pig responsible for that hand there? Is that hanging up on the wall somewhere?
Well, that actually wasn't a pig.
Hold
that
it
did that.
up a little bit higher.
Yeah, if you can see that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It wasn't a pig?
I get that question a lot.
Yeah, what happened?
It was the very first day I helicopter hunted.
Oh, really?
And I tell people in our safety briefing all the time, you have to watch your adrenaline. We want to keep you safe. And
Sure.
Of course, I was just learning at that time and really wasn't thinking about it as a business. And the way I think about it, that's all I think about now, safety. We want to, that's our number one priority is getting everybody on the ground safe and sound. So, but very first time I flew, I was so excited. Shot about 100 pigs in an hour. Sat the bird down, get some fuel, and I got out of the helicopter and I went, yeah. Okay, maybe that's not the real story.
That's not the real story?
We'll talk about it later.
That was a good story.
Thank
Damn,
you.
you tell
Thank
it
you.
well, too. Holy smokes.
All right, I'll tell you the truth. So, I was drinking a little bit one night, and won't get into what I was drinking. I'm only being paid by Red Bull, so I can't talk about Jack Daniels. And I was playing the guitar. Well, one night I was doing both. I think I passed out around 2. And when I woke up at 6, I'd strummed them to a nub. It was awful.
All right, the
Fingers everywhere.
helicopter one's more believable.
Okay, all right. So,
Oh, man.
But
Go ahead.
it is the most effective. And we have a company, 3 Curl Outfitters, and we actually do thermal hunts, about 200 thermal hunts a year. Traps with one-way gates. We hunt out of stands. We do a lot of corporate events now and things like that. But, we utilize just about every way that you can, other than dogs, to try to control the population. I can honestly tell you because I've done it all.
Yeah.
Nothing touches aerial.
Yeah. Well, because
depredation.
My place and how it's structured is a farm, so I've got lots of open fields surrounded by, it's right on the Brazos River, so I've got lots of riverfront with lots of foliage, but large pecan trees and heavy briars and stuff like that. My guess is you're able to kind of, at the right time of year, flush those pigs out of that, because they're gonna, if they're out in the open fields, when you fly up, drop a few, they're running off.
Right.
I'm sure they're gonna try to get to cover, but are you able to kind of push them back out into the fields, and you just keep doing that on repetition until you kind of cleared out that whole sounder?
Yeah, we do. Every situation is different, and you are chasing wild animals with aircraft. But what we do ultimately, like if there was a textbook, is we push them out of the trees. I was started to say that earlier when we were talking about scaring wildlife, deer. Sometimes we fly right over them and they don't run.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times we fly over pigs and they try to hide. We got hiders and runners.
Yeah.
The runners die first.
Yeah.
They're easier to see. But when we get the pigs that are hiding, we have a siren on the bottom of the helicopter. So
really?
With several different sounds. It's crazy. Sometimes we and they'll run. Yeah. Sometimes you hit the and they don't run. Then you hit the and then they'll run.
Really?
So we have different. It's weird. But we eventually are going to get them running. Yeah. Even if I have to. Yeah. Put a 7.62 in their hand, but we get them running. We ultimately steer them and push them out into an open field. Now, depending on the terrain, we generally are able to get them in a big enough field to kill them all. Yeah. But if they do get back to the trees, we either just stay on them and shoot them in the trees, or we get around them and try to push them back out, or we push to the next field.
Gotcha.
But really, that's what makes the aerial eradication so effective, is that you have to kill 70% of the population to maintain the population. A lot of people don't know that. And when we get on a sounder of hogs, we're the most likely shot at killing them all. Yeah. Or at least 70%.
Right.
But we're pretty good about getting all of them. We go back and, if a couple got back into the trees and got away, we go around and
Try and flush them back out.
Yeah, and if we can't, then we just get them in a spot where they can shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot them through the trees. So.
Yeah.
But most of the time we get them in the field. But if they do get back on us, we just stay after them.
Very cool.
Yeah, because they, and that's another thing about not having foliage is that it is, you can find them.
So what's the rig for shooting pigs out of a helicopter? I'm guessing you've got a harness strapped up to the side of that thing, or you leaned halfway out and.
So we put a 5-point harness on you, and there's 2 points. We have a backup plan for a backup plan, which we've never used. We have a lanyard on the back of the harness. We use the muddy harnesses. They hook you up. We hooked you to the frame of the helicopter. We also take the seat belt and run it through the back of your harness, which actually allows you to step out onto the skid and lean into the harness, which is actually, as far as proficient shooting out of a helicopter, is the number one most important thing to do. Is you have to lean into that harness, and that gives you a stable platform for shooting.
Okay.
If you're trying to sit in there upright like a princess, you're shooting moving targets out of a flying object. You've got a gun out, the barrel of the gun's getting baffled, and it's not a lot of wind. You're not flying fast, but normally you're flying the same speed that pigs run.
Yeah.
And but there's wind, there's the helicopter's moving, the pigs are moving, your body's moving, and if you're trying to hold everything stable with your torso, I don't care how many sit-ups you do, you just can't.
Yeah.
So when that red dot goes to figure eighting,
Yeah.
and people try to jerk the trigger, and that never works. So if you lean into that harness, it's actually
Did you ever get
really
anybody?
stable platform.
Did you ever get anybody super excited to get up there and shoot out of a helicopter until they got up in the sky?
And then decided they didn't want to?
And then decided that they weren't so hot about it?
I've never seen that.
Really?
I've even had people say scared of heights before they take off, and they're like, it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
It wasn't bad.
okay, that's awesome.
I'm like, well, you're really not that high.
Right. Yeah, high enough.
I know, that's for sure.
High enough and fast enough.
Yeah, but talking about Texas A&M, and that's a good point. Is going back and maybe I need to. I really do, because I get questions all the time. Is getting. I think the biggest problem with aerial depredation is just people don't know. I mean, you're getting out and doing the education, and unless you come hunt with me, you get a hour-long training, safety briefing. We tell you how everything works and how we do everything. And if I sit down and sign up your land, I'm going to sit down with you and I'm going to tell you. But I really don't, on a large scale, talk about our business.
Right.
Our business is, and I'm just kind of.
Yeah.
But I think education would help a lot. And the most important thing that people realize is that this industry is 100% about depredation. That's why the state allows us to do it. Mm-hmm. Federal law, it doesn't want this.
Yeah.
The federal lawmakers do not want us flying around in helicopters shooting pigs. And Texas kind of said, they're doing $500 million of damage in the state of Texas annually.
Yep.
We're going to do something.
Right.
And so they had a go around, with forms and subagents, and I can get into depth on that. But they made it a loophole to where we can do what we do. But it is 100% about depredation, and people need to understand that. Now, the kind of the bonus of doing that is pure bliss.
Yeah.
But it is fun.
Yeah.
It is fun, but it is about depredation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome. So let's rewind a little bit. We jumped straight into Heli Hunter, which is great. But I wanted to touch on some of the other stuff you do too. You mentioned auctioneering a little bit.
I did.
How'd you get into that?
I want to say this real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
There's one point I wanted to make. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. And ever since we started, we went our first time on TV in 2014, and Joe Rogan, he had a big deal on his podcast and was talking about these crazy Texans are flying around in helicopters and shooting pigs.
Yeah.
And he always talks about how fun it's going to be. Did a deal with Ted Nugent the other day. But if you ever listen to Joe Rogan, he talks about helicopter hog hunting quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've heard it, and I'm just giving a shout out there. Joe Rogan, if you're listening in, bring your ass to Ellis County, get in my helicopter, run take you up. You want to come in for that?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. If Joe reaches out.
All right. Let's go, Joe.
It's too late. I got you recorded. We got the videos going. I'll hold you to it. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, no, I've seen, he mentions it quite a few times, actually, in his podcast.
He's a big proponent of it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely, man. How'd you get into auctioneering? When did that start, and what's that been all about? Because everything I've heard, I have heard you in action actually, but is that you're world renowned? That's what I keep hearing. You've been talked up big time on the auction side of stuff.
Well, I am known for auctioneering. That is my number one profession. The pig hunting was a side business.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we do 500-600 auctions a year, so we stay very busy at it.
I got a hard question.
Sure.
That's all mumbling gibberish, isn't it? Are you actually saying words in the middle of all that stuff?
We're actually saying words.
No way.
Yeah. So we actually are. They're called filler words.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, we can go over. We own actually own an auction college. It's the oldest running auction college in the United States. It started in 1933.
I didn't know that.
I'm not that old, but we bought it a few years ago, and it's called Worldwide College of Auctioneering, and we teach people to auction. But
really, that's cool.
one of the things we teach, it is a filler word. So we can go over. I'm gonna see if I can get you auctioned today.
Okay.
Before we're done, you want to try it?
Yeah.
Is your beard not that heavy? It looks heavy.
Nah, it's not
Think you
heavy.
can-
I got a lot of muscles
Can
here
you-
in the
okay.
cheeks.
You've built them up.
Yeah.
So, auctioneering. I'm the world champion auctioneer, and my wife is an auctioneer now as well.
Really? Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
She started out. She used to clerk for me.
Really? Okay.
I'd get in trouble all the time for getting my clerk pregnant. So we got her. She's actually great. She started in the floor and rang with me, and then she's worked her way up to the block. I want to say she is the best female auctioneer I've ever heard, and one of the best auctioneers in general, men
Awesome.
and women. So
Awesome.
if she's not better than me, I get that a lot too.
So you came today from Austin, were you auctioneering there?
I was. Mhm.
All right. So is that primarily where you do most of your auctions? You all over the place?
I go down there once a week.
Once a week.
So
Okay.
yeah, and then I'm mainly here in the Metroplex nowadays.
What are you auctioning?
Our staple now is cars. We
Cars.
do automobiles.
Very nice.
But,
Okay.
over the years, we do a lot of real estate, but over the years, I've done motorboats, fur coats, bad jokes, you name it. I've sold it.
Sell me that pig head.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Which one do you want? They both look pretty big. I'll just
They're
sell them
both
both
up.
for
They're
money.
both up for sale. Yeah.
All right, on the pig's gold. Now 25, 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150. Now 75. And the cameraman's bidding down 175, 2, 225, now 50, now 75, 300, 325, now 50. And the gain down, sold $325. Thank you, Jeff.
I bought it.
Yep.
Damn.
You wiggled. You wiggled.
That's one thing I learned early. So I go to equipment auctions, right? And the ones that I go to are in Waco, Llano. My dad and I we buy equipment and sell it back. And we've got some stuff going on where we'll buy something that's old and ran down. We'll fix it up, and then we'll just take it back to the next auction. We're normally transferring stuff around from auction to auction.
Trading.
Yeah, absolutely,
Trading.
man. Well, I don't know. You can just, if you do it right, there's some great money in it.
You have to know what you know what things are worth.
But I learned real quick. You better not just adjust your hat. if he's going off, you do something like this. You just put a bid on it, and then those guys out there. What do you call the guys who are helping you call out all the bids?
Ringmen.
The ringmen. Mm-hmm. So some of those ringmen are aggressive too. If they know you're out, they're gonna say, "Hey, come on, it's $20 more dollars. You're gonna let him do that?"
That's their job to let you know you're out.
They'll pin you against each other.
Well, misconception. Yeah, I'm not going to take you if you wiggle or move your hat, but you definitely don't want to be waving at somebody. I get that a lot. We do a lot of fundraisers and charity auctions, and yeah, there's of course drinking going on too, and there's always a lady.
Do you ignore the
Sally? Hey, Sally.
Do you ignore the 14, 16-year-olds who are throwing their hands up at random just to piss their parents off? Because I did that for sure.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
I would have sold it to your parents. They need to get you. They need to get you under control.
Oh man. So the other thing that you talked about, we covered auctions, we covered Heli Hunter. You mentioned both 3-curl and then target-rich environment.
Right.
Tell me more about 3-curl and then how you guys started off with target-rich environment and what that's all about.
So actually, 3-curl was started by Charles Spiegel and Brett Jepson, two friends of mine. We're partners now, and they started Three Curl, and it is primarily, they started out duck hunting, leasing up land, doing duck hunt. We over 100 duck holes now. I mean, it's just really grown. They have and dove hunting, quail hunting, upland hunts, and also thermal, which brought us together.
Yeah.
They do thermal hunts, and then we also do stand hunts, static hunts. People that want to come in and shoot pigs off a feeder. So that's what they were doing. And then I was in the helicopter. Mm-hmm. But when they kind of moved into the area and started their business, I was pretty established with the helicopter. Well, the next thing you know, you're going to love this. I got a good story for you. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but that's how I met them. Brett called me up one day, and he introduced himself, and they were just getting started. He said, would you mind, I had heard of them, and he said, you know who we are? I said, yeah, I know who you are. I'm glad you called, wanted to meet you. He said, we pig hunt too. I said, yeah, I know. He said, do you think maybe we could kind of start a little line of communication?
Yeah.
I said, sure. I mean, where are you getting? What do you want?
Yeah.
So he said, so the other night we were thermaling, and we had been putting some corn out, and we sent our thermal group out, and we did about a half-mile walk, stalking up on 30 some odd pigs. Yeah. He said, and they weren't running. They were just standing there. He said, we get closer and closer and closer. About the time we were ready to shoot, we realized they were all dead. So we had come in with a helicopter and just it was just carnage laid all out in the field. But they were still hot. Yeah. And they were still showing up on the thermal, which they will for a couple days. But,
yeah, absolutely.
But we so I said sure. So we started this relationship, and I started saying, what areas are you going to be in? Because they would stay away. Yeah. They didn't want to plan on going somewhere where I'd knocked them all out. So so I got to know the guys, and we started working together. And over the years, I wanted to build a really big, nice lodge. They wanted a lodge for their business. It didn't make sense for me. A lot of my clientele is affluent and want a really, really nice place to stay. Yeah. And I didn't want to spend a couple $1 million building a lodge that, I only use. I told you we only hunt, 8 weeks out of the year. So we kind of started talking about how we could use the property, together. Lease to them or build it together. We were just trying to look at ways, and they needed a lodge all year. So what we wound up doing was we built a lodge with corporate retreats. We do weddings, corporate retreats. It has 44 beds in it.
Oh, wow.
And it's just made real nice. They have a big event center if they want to have, whether it's a wedding dinner or a corporate meeting space. Yeah. But long range shooting, axe throwing, knife throwing, ski. It's a place where people can come and have a lot of activities. Yeah. And then we add, they can, and they hunt through us obviously. So if they come in for thermals, or they come in for, during dove season, it's all dove hunters. It's full up for a month. Quail, they come into quail hunt. So that I'm glad we built. Even as big as it is, I wish we'd have gone bigger.
Really?
So.
And that's Wild Acres, right?
Correct, Wild Acres Event Center, just outside of Avalon. But there's so many people coming through there. We kill so many pigs. We do over 200 thermal hunts a year. So we're thermal hunting all the time. We have another lodge in Midlothian. That's the old Three Curl Lodge.
I didn't know that.
So we use that sometimes too if we need groups separated. Very cool. And that's kind of our cheaper hunts. Yeah. Somebody a little more affordable. Sure. If they want to come, 5-star, they come to Wild Acres. But so in doing that, we were so commingled that we just said we just need to merge. Yeah. And I don't want to, let's just put it all together. It makes sense. And we knew that we could scale all of the businesses.
Right.
I had a lot of land with a helicopter that gave them access to. Yeah. We do helicopter spraying, we do crop spraying with the heli when we're not hunting. So a lot of different businesses we run out of there. And doing the corporate, fixing to get into tactical. We can talk more about that, but. All of the things that we do, we run out of the operation, we wound up merging. So, Three Curl and Heli Hunter are all under one umbrella now.
That's awesome.
So all of those hunts.
And then when you guys made that transition sometime here just recently, you've ventured off and decided to just start up a TV show out of that, right?
Correct.
So target-rich environment.
Kind of the marketing branch of our operation. And we actually was approached. I'd had a show in 2014. Really good friends with Matt Buspis, if you know the old Wild Game Innovation, Wild Game Nation guys. And he's a really, really, really good guy. And he has a show, Viral Outdoors now.
Okay.
But anyway, he had come in to hunt with us
Yeah.
to get some video for Viral Outdoors, and we got to talking. We were old. I've known him for 15 years. We got to talking, and then we were just talking about the idea. I wanted to have a show that was kind of reality based. I mean, I don't want to copy Duck Dynasty, but
Right.
it's kind of the pig end of
Yeah.
kind of the way that show was, with a little bit less of the contrived, a lot less of the contrived drama. We don't need it.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not going to Discovery Channel. We're on Sportsman Channel.
Yeah.
We can show the kills.
Yeah.
But nobody hunts more. So the idea of my show was, let's have a kill and a hunt every segment.
Yeah.
So instead of the cookie cutter show where you come in and you start out saying we're going to go, you got video of them traveling, video of them getting there, meeting the outfitter, talking about what you're going to shoot, talk about the gear that you're shooting. By the end of the third segment, it's basically 4 or 5 minute segments. By the end of the third segment, you're seeing animals, and maybe at the end of the third segment, you see the animal you want to shoot, dun, 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 goes to commercial. Fourth segment, you get 1 kill.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 90%, 95% of all shows on outdoor television, and you get that 1 kill at the end.
Yeah.
We wanted to just, because we have the ability to, it might be a quail hunt, might be a duck hunt, might be a dove hunt, might be the first segment, and then we thermal hunt just about in every episode. And then again, I might be in Montana elk hunting.
Right.
But between the 3 partners and our clientele and our customers, we hired our production company full time.
Yeah.
We just got him we had to move him out of the lodge, but
Oh, no.
we had the production companies in. Our main producer was staying there, but it's so great to have them on hand.
Yeah.
So we're hunting all the time, and we're filming it all the time, and it's real.
Yeah.
But so many thermal hunts, static hunts, bow hunt. We may be on a deer hunt, turkey hunting. We've just kind of wrapped that up. We're pretty excited about it, but basically what our show is about hunting wholesale.
Yeah.
And which y'all, of course, Sightmark is our title sponsor. So
Sure.
it's Target Rich Environment, brought to you by Pulsar,
Yeah,
powered by
nice.
Pulsar.
There you go.
So, but it's because we use
Yeah.
y'all's products so
Yeah.
much that it's been great.
Yeah.
And it's just been a lot of fun. It gives me the excuse to when I tell my wife I'm going in 3 weeks, I'm going to Wyoming, and I'm going to go shoot about 1,500 prairie dogs in 2 days, and the Wise Arms, our rifle sponsor, is building me a 24-inch barrel AR on 5.56, and I'm strapping a Latitude on it, and it's going to get nasty.
Dang.
But the cool thing about the show is I'm going to Wyoming, and my wife's like, you're going, you guys out there, and you girls too. Just to say that, I love women out hunting, but just making a joke. My wife says, "You're going hunting again?" And I say, "It's my job." And that's the greatest thing about Target Rich Environment.
Yep.
I actually, I have to hunt. I have to hunt all the time.
Well, on our side, we love to see good quality people that are actually helping out all these environments and doing it professionally, doing it in high volumes, using our products, and giving them, good names and good repping, and it's a very mutually beneficial partnership there. So we like everything you guys are doing.
Well, stay tuned, because we are in the process now. We started in January. We signed on for 26 episodes.
Yeah.
Talk about alligator mouth overloading your crawdad ass.
That's a lot.
So we have been, and with the heli season and our thermal season's really heavy. We finally caught up enough and have things figured out enough to where we're catching up a lot. So one of the things that I want to do with your product that's more important than, I just wanted to make an entertaining show.
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and spend the whole show saying, I love the lad. I know you want me to, but to me, I want to make an entertaining show. You see what I'm using. We're going to go digital instead of doing it on the show.
Sure.
I know y'all want to see the stuff die. That's why you watch outdoor television. But stay tuned, because what I'm going to do with all these products and what I want to do, we're in the process, we've started now, is how-tos.
Yeah.
Let people see not just that we use your product, but that's fixing to come out via our website, via YouTube. You'll be getting Sightmark will be getting shared, all of that. But you know, there's so many people that don't know how to sit down with a latitude, sight it in, and dope it.
Right, exactly.
You know, there's so many people don't know about shooting apps where pull up Streetlock. I'm gonna literally sit down and show you how to shoot.
Yeah.
And consistently shoot 600 yards, 1,000 yards.
Well, and that's the thing too, especially when you talk about, you know, longer range shooting. That is becoming more and more popular. In the last 5 years, long range shooting, long range hunting, you talk about prairie dogs, there's a lot of people out there who are interested in doing that thing, but they don't understand that they're not going to be super successful with a 20-inch 5.56. You know what I mean?
Right.
That extra 4 inches on your barrel length is going to make a big difference when you're trying to pop a prairie dog at 600 yards or however far away you're going to be shooting those things.
Right.
So that type of stuff's going to be super helpful for a lot of people out there. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and we talk about showing and, you know, how we thermal hunt and how we do, but you know, going to the thermals too. I mean, all your adjustments, how to set them.
You're going to teach up your competition. You know that, don't you? And there'll be other guys out there trying to start up a thermal hunting business and TV show and copycat you guys.
Good. Texas is a big place.
There you go.
I've always said that if I could shoot myself out of business in the pig world, I would. I hate them.
Yeah.
I told you about my land and when we went and all that. They pissed the wrong guy off. That's 60,000 pigs ago.
And you talked about having to get in there with a dozer and back drag your fields before you go in there and plow it again, because literally it will break your plow discs. It will actually throw out the suspension on your tractor, however the hell that happens.
I was trying to grow hay, and you don't see it in tall grass, and
Yeah.
those holes can be so deep.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I didn't have a lot of money, and I was going to auctions like you were talking about equipment auctions, and I'm buying old junky balers and old rakes, and I spend all this money. I get them
break the hell
going.
out
I
of
take off in the field. I get 2 rounds, and boom,
Yep.
I bust every tooth off my rake.
Absolutely. So for us, we have hogs real bad out at my place. My wife and I kind of use it as a sport right now, but at a certain point in time, you gotta judge that. You know, pig hunters are in kind of this catch-22 of. I say pig hunters. I'm talking about the more casual guy like me. My wife and I will go out. We'll literally go out any night we want to, just because we live on the property, and we'll go out. And our goal is. The ultimate goal is get these pigs off my freaking property because they're digging the hell out of it. And if we go in and we fix it, that night they're there tearing it up again. So it's like a constant battle. But the reality is, like, it's kind of funny because if we go out and we shoot 15, 20 pigs in a week, you know, you're dropping, 3 or 4 pigs a night. And then you go out that next week and you've pushed them all onto your neighbor's place and you don't see any pigs, you're kind of bummed out about it. You know, we're at that stage. But eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, how much money are these pigs actually costing me? And when do I need to start really thinking about managing this population on a larger scale?
100%. Yeah, kudos to you. I've been watching you on Facebook, and you and your wife, y'all been tearing it up lately.
Dude, she's
Y'all are killing it. Yeah.
She's going crazy on it. Yeah, it's funny because when I started working here and we got access to the digital night vision and the thermal, she took off with it. She experienced a whole new world, especially with the thermal stuff. And so, yeah, it's hard to keep her in the house now.
I want to see the video of you vacuuming. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, me in there with the kids.
It's good for her.
Yeah.
We actually just did an episode, just came out, where we did an all women's hunt. And we had women. We just put it out there on Facebook. If you want to get in on this, we're going to film it.
Yeah.
And we had women literally from Washington State, from Connecticut, from Wisconsin, from Michigan, and all over the country. We only took 16.
Yeah.
But we had
You had a lot
16
of
women
people
came in
reach
for 2
out.
days. None of them knew each other.
Really? That's
And we
awesome.
did a show about. I didn't know if it was gonna really be. It was gonna be like Survivor or something, or really reality. We should have had hidden cameras everywhere. But you know what? Those women, within an hour, they all moved into the lodge, and for 2 days, and man, they all, they had the best time.
Yeah.
And they shot skeet and they shot long range. We did pistol training with them,
Oh, awesome.
self-defense techniques, and we did long range shooting with them and showed them. How to dope a scope, how to sight a scope in. There's just so many things. You were talking about that with things that people don't know. That is the most fun thing for me. competition be damned. I don't care. I love watching people learn how to actually utilize the equipment and where they can get out and enjoy it. Because there's so many people that want to do it, and they see it on Facebook. And you don't have to be a badass,
right?
And that's so much of people when they're holding their animal. You feel like a badass, and so many people see it and go, wow, they know how to do that. You know what? Anybody can learn how to do it,
right?
And we probably have 3,000-4,000 people come through our lodge a year. And we teach a large percentage of people something about firearms.
You guys are actively trying to teach people and trying to get people engaged with that, because in this industry, more often than not, people are excited about trying to learn how to do something, but to be completely honest, they're terrified to ask somebody. I can't let them know I don't know.
Exactly.
I can't let them know I don't know. They'll think I'm stupid.
Like this happens to me more times than I have fingers. I had Heli Hunter. So many people come in, and one of the first questions when I start my safety briefing is, are you AR familiar?
Yeah.
When I say are you AR familiar, I don't want you to know what it stands for.
Right.
Have you held
assault
one?
rifle?
So I thought it was a tack rifle. Sorry. So whenever we get these people in, they don't really realize what I mean by familiar.
Sure.
And I'm going to say 20%, but they don't ever want to speak up.
Right.
I'm an auctioneer too. You learn how to read people.
Yep.
I watch people during the safety briefing. And when I say that, I can tell you I'm going to pull these guys aside.
Right.
But every one of them says yes.
Yeah.
They don't know is I'm fixing to stand them up when we
Right.
get done, and they're going to show me how familiar they are before they get in the helicopter.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Right.
I mean, as far as locking your bolt back, and we do it. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes per person, and I'll lay a bunch of guns out, and they can all practice. But I make them actually look me in the eyes, and be able to lock your bolt back.
Yeah.
With your little rocker switch, lock it back. I want you to charge it with the same rocker switch, the upper button, and then I want you to pull it back and drop it. I want you to be able to drop a mag, stab a mag, and put your gun safety and know your safety position. Down for dead. I want you to be able to do all of that without looking at the rifle. To me, that's familiar.
Yeah.
And if I don't get you that familiar, it's a whole hell of a lot easier to sit on the ground with me for 5 minutes. And I can have you doing it in 5 minutes.
Right.
Then get up in the helicopter, and you got 35 pigs running underneath, and the helicopter sideways, and the pilot's going shoot, 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 and you're fumble, beep with your gun. So that kind of thing all of the time.
Yeah.
We do it all the time. The second thing, probably even bigger, is the education that we do with your thermals. So many people, but it's we have 12 of y'all's thermals in our gun room. It's pretty cool to have that many that we set out, and we have 8 customers in. I give every one of them one of them.
Oh, that's
Everybody
awesome.
look through your scope. I'm looking through mine, and I go through all of your selections, your settings. Don't touch that. Don't mess with that. Don't mess with that. But here's what it does. Yeah. And if you want to change your white hot, black hot, rainbow, whatever you want to do. All of these settings that you can do.
Yeah.
How you can set it in for different distances.
Sure.
And how you can change that really easily.
Yeah.
If you got a pig at 200 yards, you can actually have it sighted in for 200 yards in 2 seconds if you know what you're doing.
Right.
And one of the things I love about the Thermion so much is that with gloves on, in the wintertime when we're hunting a lot, they're so user friendly with the scrolling knobs.
Yeah.
And I love the trails too. We used them for years, but I call them the cornet buttons, but those top buttons, you have to learn what those buttons are. But that Thermion is so user friendly. Hitting that button, looking through the lens, you can see what it is. You scroll, hit the button, select. It's just really user friendly.
They made that Thermion even better with the LRF feature now.
I'm waiting on mine.
To put that laser rangefinder, you're gonna love it, dude. So they changed a few things. One, the power button's now up there on the front of the unit, so that it's a little easier to access that. Not that it was hard before, but my biggest thing is, a lot of times at Thermion, the old models, the whole objective bail is how you would focus.
Right.
But now they've got little turn dials,
nice.
ambidextrous on both sides, so it actually makes it a lot easier.
I like ambidextrous.
When you're holding up a 12, 15-pound rifle, depending on what your nighttime setup is, and trying to turn that big bevel, that can kind of be difficult.
They need a Kopfjäger.
Hey, there you go. Need a Kopfjäger. Yeah, absolutely. That's another brand owned by Sightmark, by the way, guys.
One of the things I teach about Kopfjäger, the biggest thing, they say, what does that mean? Anybody know? TV land?
What does it mean?
You don't know?
I know.
Oh, Headhunter.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm
German. Yeah, okay.
Sprechen Deutsch.
Yeah.
So, but being able to do that, and the education part of what we do is probably the most rewarding.
Yeah.
Because those people, and probably my relationship with y'all, I can't tell you how many pulsars we've sold over the years, because that's what they learn how to use.
Right. Yeah.
And they are easy to use.
Yeah.
And the clarity. I started thermal hunting before anybody knew about thermal hunting.
Right.
My first 2 thermals were black market Pass 15s from the military. They were as big as this box right here, or they looked like that skull on the top of your gun. They were the only thing out there 640 resolution at that time.
Really?
And they cost $15,000 a pop.
Holy smokes.
And they weighed about 10 pounds. But that was thermal hunting, and nobody had really thought of it for pigs, but we did.
Yeah.
So that's how long we've been. That's been, I would say, I said 15. It was 2012, probably when we started doing that, and there wasn't anything out there.
Well, that's pretty cool. And so one thing we didn't touch on whenever you were talking about the Heli Hunter, you guys are actually running Sightmark red dots in the helicopter as well, right?
Yes.
All right, very nice. Is a red dot?
Which one would you use?
If a Sightmark red dot?
Yeah.
I like the M-Spec a lot, personally.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, I like the M-Spec a lot. It's got basically everything you'd need in it. 12-hour auto off, because I'm one of those dummies who always leaves them on. I'll burn through batteries, man.
That's the cool thing. We use the Ultra Shots M-Spec, but I really think you could leave it on all season.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We turn them on when we get in, and we really don't have to change the batteries. I used to use another company I won't name, and we had to change batteries out all the time. I don't want a guy getting over 25 pigs in the helicopter, and he's spending $2,500 an hour to shoot pigs, and his dot goes out.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, as far as reticle choice, one of the things I love about the M-Spec that helps, because a lot of times we're hunting on sunny days, and people having a quick acquisition.
Yeah.
We always talk about that, but you think about it in ideal conditions.
No.
Think about it in a helicopter. Everything's moving, everything's wiggling, and them needing to acquire that target quickly. And people are super, super excited as well. You have to think, the very first time they have ever done it, they have adrenaline just pouring out of their ears. Yeah. But having the big circle, I tell them all the time, aim small, miss small, look for that little dot, but it helps them find it.
Right.
And it's a really, all of my customers love them. Yeah. So.
I like the M-Spec for that purpose. I would think that just the wide lens in there, you get a big view. The Sightmark red dot sights have evolved significantly over the years, and now some of the new ones they're coming out with are actually really, really good. We've got the Volta on the market now, which is the solar-powered red dot sight, and what I like about it, along with most of our newer ones, they have a light management system. So you talk about like being up in the helicopter in the middle of the day. Yep. It might be sunny as hell. Well, the new red dots are going to actually auto brightness that.
Well, they auto.
Yeah, they auto brightness that reticle down so that you're or up in the sun, so that you're going to get the optimal viewing experience through there. So that's pretty cool. One thing
we need to talk about that.
Yeah,
trade in.
Well, that's the thing though. So those ones that I'm talking about, they're all a little bit smaller as far as your view goes. The lens system's not quite as big, so you don't get quite as it's not. You talk about quick target acquisition. Right. It's a lot easier with the M-Spec to do that. So you're probably running the best thing for you in the chopper. But
that's just cool on that auto and maybe that technology.
It is cool.
That way someday.
It's really cool.
One of the training things, we have to show people how to turn it up and down.
Right.
Because it's going to be maybe cloudy in the morning, or when they sit down, we shut down every hour. We'll just adjust it for them. It's not a big deal. Yeah. A couple of clicks, bright it up. Yeah. One other thing on the M-Specs we have too, they have the sunshade.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that helps a lot.
That's true.
So it's got the little sunshade. It's real easy to slide out. But you know what? Part of the education thing is we show people how to use them, and we don't have any trouble. But I'll tell you, they work great. They hold. We sight them in for the year, and we'll shoot. In 8 weeks, probably 30,000 rounds.
Wow.
And
no issues?
No issues. And I can't
no warranty claims?
No warranty claims.
They have a lifetime warranty too. So
I have not had a. That's why you have it, because you don't have to use it. But for that site to hold, and we still check them. right? But this year, all the guns we had about 8 of our rifles that were outfitted for the heli with the M specs on them, and we sighted them in, and I don't think we had an adjustment all year.
Nice.
Much less one breaking, but they take a beating.
I'm not going to bore these people for too much longer with the product talk. I always said that when we started this podcast, they told me, like, Jeff, all right, we want you in front of the camera for an hour, but you're going to push products hard. And I was like, absolutely not. I'll sit in front of there for an hour, but people don't want to hear that. They want to hear real life experiences with cool stories and meet cool people. So I'm glad you came in. Don't be sorry, because they would have yelled at me if I hadn't have brought it up, for sure. But one thing I wanted to talk about was when I first met you. I hope you remember this, but when I first met you, you had just gotten back, I think, from an elk hunt with your son, and it didn't go the way you planned. You went out to some private property that you didn't scout out prior.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about that. Did you learn something during that whole experience?
I learned something every hunting season. Yeah, we went out with. There was supposed to be some elk out there, and I'd gotten the hunt for my son. He'd actually done a bunch of work on our lodge.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, do you want me to pay you, or you want me to take you on an elk hunt?
Yeah.
He said, let's go hunting. So we're going to go again this year. Stay tuned.
Okay.
So
Same
it'll be
place?
round 2. Nope. Well, we're going to go somewhere. So, yeah, make a long story short, we get out, and the property's maybe 200 yards wide. And there were 4 or 5 strips. They were kind of spread out. They had, I will give them this. There had been a death in the family, and there was nobody to guide us. But they knew me, and they're, here, Craig, we're sending you here's the Onyx, here's the maps. Have fun. Get after it. So, hey, no problem. I'll find some elk. But literally had to wait. I mean, I don't know how long I had to wait. We came on back and hunted something else. But they were really narrow strips, and they ran.
Yeah.
And at the end of the narrow strip, they hit a mountainside.
Yeah.
So we would walk a mile in. They were maybe 200 yards wide.
Yeah.
We'd walk a mile in. You look up.
It's spend all day glassing it. Like,
yeah, right. My neck got stiff from doing this. So, God, I hope they don't hear this. But yeah. But we no, the guy's a good friend of mine, and like I said, he got to talking about later. Well, we could have gone over the ridge, and I know that guy. And, I said, well, I'm not doing that.
Right, you're not going to do that.
I
Property you're not familiar with.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to the lines you gave me. So.
Right.
But we did a couple of days of that, and I mean, literally after the first 30 minutes in the morning, there were no elk, and there were no elk. Okay.
Happens sometimes.
Let's wait till this evening.
Yeah.
No elk. So, but yeah, that's all right. You know, they call it hunting and fishing, not shooting and catching.
Right.
And, you know, and partly my fault is, or I never get mad about a bad hunt. I didn't do the due diligence and didn't really know. So
yeah.
But anyway, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of those types of experiences as well. So we can all appreciate that. But Craig, I am going to let you go. I think we're running up close on time here, man. But I appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it was a blast, dude. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. See you next time.
Hey, also,
What?
Target Rich Environment, where can they see it? When can they see it?
Sportsman's Channel, our anchor days, it airs 5 times a week, but our anchor time is Sundays at 12:30.
If someone needs a helicopter hog hunt, what are they doing? Where do they go?
Give us a shout.
Heli Hunter.
Heli Hunter.
Google
HeliHunter.com, 3curl.com,
Okay.
Wild Acres Event Center.
You can probably just search like hunting. Just Google hunting, and the first 10 links that pop up will lead you back to this guy.
I believe so.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, Craig.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, Jeff.